So you were asking me about soul loss. Soul loss basically is the word in English that comprehends trauma or PTSD or emotional wounds, psychological scars. And basically in indigenous medicine, what happens is that since we are not only comprised of a body, we're comprised of many bodies. Our tonal, our luminous body, or our baknabal, or rainbow body, as called in Tzotzil Mayan. Tonal is Nahuatl. Basically what happens is that when somebody goes through an impact, through a trauma, because of abuse, because of loss of something or someone, because of accidents, natural disasters, being in horrible relationships, in horrible situations, in situations of war, etc., etc., etc. And also, something that creates soul loss is navigating or going through life without knowing where to navigate to, or having a sense of not having a sense of meaning in life or purpose. And that is so vital and basic. And I'm going to do a parenthesis here because specifically Mayan, the Mayan elders, the elders of this region that's today called Mesoamerica, like in the past, it's probably the cultures that have used the most resources, time and energy to create tools for people to understand what they're doing here and what their purpose is and how to weave it and how to strengthen those gifts and abilities and how to recognize your own shadows, because in this cosmology we have a part that is dual. We have our positive and our negative, our female and our masculine, or whatever. And so it's important to walk in the middle, to lead lives as balanced as possible. And that's like the whole principle, or the biggest principle of indigenous medicine. So when somebody goes through one of these traumatic episodes, our tonal or baknabal, our soul, the soul gets fragmented and lost. That's why it's called soul loss. It's lost. And the person feels drained, feels like something is missing in them. They don't feel the same as before. There's a lack of clarity, lack of energy. There's like a sense of coldness, even physically many times. Fright. And basically, like I was mentioning yesterday, some of the symptoms, or most of the symptoms, are the same that as PTSD symptoms for modern psychology. In indigenous medicine, it's a bit broader because it also comprehends not only what happens in the human realms, but also in the spiritual realms. For example, people can suffer great damaging soul loss with bad plant medicine experiences. And that's not only because of neurological situations, but of spiritual situations. Because they may encounter a dark spirit, or they may grab onto, I don't know, the neighbor's energy, in that ayahuasca experience or whatever, and so on and so forth. So what happens is that the person feels very much not in themselves and not present and very disembodied. Many people say, I see myself in the mirror and I don't recognize that person. I don't know who that person is. And it's a terrible state. It's a terrible place of being. And in a very beautiful ritual called soul retrieval, the healer or the curandera, the curandero, what we do is with different elements like plants, copal, any kind of incense, eggs, fire, water. There's many ways of doing soul retrieval. Many ways. But basically, the idea is to cleanse, to clear the psychological, energetic, and emotional imprints that this event left in the person. So the person might have been feeling fright, anger, impotence, sadness, depression. So all of this is cleaned or cleansed. Now, a very important aspect is that when we do this, we open up a sacred space. Like opening a ritual is opening a sacred space. So we ask permission and we ask the guidance and we ask for the spiritual communities to help us. Because they're the ones that ultimately do the job. Like one as a curandero does only one tiny aspect of it. It's like what humanly we can do. But the spiritual communities of the ancestors, of the spiritual guides, of the spirit of the plants, of the spirit of the water, of the elements, of the nahuales, and so on, they're the ones that come and help and bring back the lost fragments of the soul, the drained tonal or bacnaval or luminous body back into the body. And it's really amazing because what happens is that when the person is open, of course, and this happens also with just modern medicine, if the person is not open, it's very hard that they'll heal. But when the person is open, usually they are, they feel an immediate shift. An immediate shift. It's like, I feel more vitalized. I feel more clarity. I feel like, oh my God, this is a constant. I didn't realize that I wasn't in myself, and like being in me feels so different and so good. And those are just some of the actual things that happen. Obviously, clarity comes back, and physical strength, energetic strength, meaning like energy, like vital energy, vital force comes back. And what's beautiful is that there's even more clarity to continue the path. And something also that is very important in soul retrieval is that people don't just toss the experience that created the impact, the trauma or whatever. There's a transformation because first of all, indigenous medicine puts the responsibility on the patient. We need to be responsible for our own healing. So that's the first thing. And the other thing is that there's a different view of what happened, of the traumatic impact. People usually see it as, okay, I understand this happened, and I get this wisdom from this. I recognize this, and I get this knowledge from this situation. So, okay, now it's something that I live, but it doesn't become the burden that it was. And it's just a very beautiful process. And I'd like to finish this just by mentioning Doña Queta again, somebody I admire a lot. Doña Queta, she's a Zapotec elder, very, very, very respected. And psychologists and psychiatrists from the States and from Canada come to Mexico to learn from this old Zapotec lady. What do they come to learn? Soul retrieval. Because they feel overwhelmed by the growing number of children and teenagers with depression, with anxiety, and we could call it, I don't know if epidemic is the right word, but like the increasing number of suicide. So they come and learn from her, and they just carry more tools with them so they can serve other people. And as I mentioned, soul loss happens also because, especially today, because people don't really understand what their space here in life is, what their service is. And, well, what all indigenous cosmologies do, especially Mayan cosmology, is that it helps people to understand why they're here. And through soul retrieval, now there's like an integration on the person, and the person can more easily go into themselves and just ask and see more clearly what is my soul asking me to do, or what is my heart or my push asking me to do. So yeah, basically.